Country Club was the debut single recorded by Travis Tritt in 1988 and released the next year. Well, that song spent 6 months on the charts and pushed Travis into mainstream country music. 25 years later, after that very first release, he's had many hit singles, albums, and even a few major film roles. We had a chance to catch up with Travis at the Franklin Theater to mark that special career milestone.
This year, 2014, marks 25 years since a small group of us that were referred to as the class of '89 came out. And I don't think any of us had any idea at the time that we would be involved in bringing a whole lot more people to come to love the kind of music that we all grew up on.
As I sit here surrounded by people and lights.
There's a mentality in all of music, especially in Nashville, that comes from inside the industry that basically says to all new artists that are coming on the scene and they're just recording for the first time, we know everything. You know nothing. So don't make waves, don't rock the boat, just follow what we tell you to do and everything will be just fine. And I remember when I first got started going into the studio that I didn't have any really, other than the songs that I'd written, I didn't have that much of an input into how the records were recorded or how they were ending up sounding when they were finished. And it was something I always wanted to have. And when I met Waylon Jennings, I met Waylon in the early 90s. And Waylon used to say, you know, everybody deserves to have an opportunity to do it their own way at least once. And I always gravitated toward that. I always held on to that. And so as we started having more success, you know, the more success you have, the more you're able to go in and kind of call the shots and do things a little bit differently. And I think that was the biggest challenge for me is just learning how to, because I came straight out of the clubs, playing, you know, bars, clubs, honky-tonks, beer joints, bowling alleys, and played some rough places back then. I played some places, if you didn't have a gun or a knife at the front door, they'd give you one, so everybody'd be equal. But, you know, trying to find your own way in this business sometimes can be very, very difficult. And I'm so thankful that I had people early on that really encouraged me to do things your own way, record things your own way. People like Waylon, Charlie Daniels, from the very beginning, told me, you know, do what you feel in your heart. Do what you feel comfortable with. Because you know you and you know your audience coming out of those clubs better than anybody on this planet. And so over the years, I think I've learned what my audience expects out of me, and I just try to give it to them whenever I go in the recording studio or whenever I do a live show. And it's something that you kind of, over time, once you kind of find your way, it builds up a certain amount of confidence, I think, because you understand, yeah, this is what they're listening for. This is what they will accept from me, and this is what they won't accept from me.
Hard times are in, there's dusty fears no matter where you go. You may change your mind, sun will squeeze you high where corn don't grow. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
The cool thing about these particular shows for me, with just me and a guitar, it doesn't feel like it's a concert venue. It feels more like being in my living room. And they ain't no telling what I'm liable to do in my own living room, you know? So it suited our needs for this particular type of show perfectly.
And I can't say it didn't warn me, said life's a hard road to hoe.
A couple nights ago, I was in Shelby, North Carolina, and we were opening the Earl Scruggs Center. And several people, Sam Bush, Vince Gill, myself, Gary and Randy Scruggs, Jimmy Mills, some other people, came up for that opening, and we just all sat around in chairs like we used to when we sat in Earl's house during his birthday picking parties, and everybody and their brother was there. I mean, every big name artist you could think of, people that I had admired growing up, everybody from Dolly Parton to Emmylou Harris to Vince Gill, George Jones, Marty Stewart, you know, just a who's who of people, and just sitting around and picking. And you think, this is why I got in this business. This is what I love about being a part of this. And I'm really fortunate in that I get an opportunity to get on stage and to go in recording studios and do every day what I would do if nobody paid me a dime.
Hard times are real, it's dusty fields, no matter where you go. Some you may change your mind, Lord, those weeds you had, where corn don't grow.
Well, we are just getting started on this week's Inside Music Row, so don't go away. We're going to catch up next with an artist whose latest single was featured in a recent episode of ABC's hit show, Nashville. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Frankie Ballard, and you're watching Inside Music Row.